York City 2016. Yay! This is actually a little bit of a dream of mine to bring it back. Women Lead started in 2012 with Mo Crockmo over there. Raise your hand, Mo. When we decided to have a networking hackathon where women would get together. We talked about some of the issues. We have some interesting speakers. Then come together in a workshop, discuss 1 or 2 issues, and we're going to do that today. And then network and drink champagne and have a lot of fun. And most of all, or a really great part of it, is that we're including the digital world. And we are live streaming right now, and we will be tweeting. And as you can see, I have my signs here, so I want to remind you, wherever you are, on whatever social media you are using today, tag us, hashtag us, include us in the conversation, participate in the conversation. It's all about women leading, women helping each other, and coming together. So, we all know this is Women's History Month, so what perfect time than today, than March 24th, to come together and try to find a way to make our own history as women here in New York City and on Staten Island. And I want you to look around, because this is something different, and this is a big part, being here at Staten Island Arts today. We've been talking about women being represented, women moving up, women finding satisfaction in their own life with whatever they're doing. And somebody asked me the question, well, what if I don't want to be a leader? Well, that's okay. You don't have to lead, but you still want to enjoy your life and be successful and be taken seriously and be counted in the room. And so today, our theme is, you gotta stand up before you can lean in. Now, I'm a New York City girl, I'm a Brooklyn girl, born and raised, living here on Staten Island for 27 years. And I didn't have the benefit of going to an Ivy League school. I didn't have the networking family and the options that some people do have the opportunity to have, and some women do have. And it kind of propels them faster to the C-suite or the corporate table across the way. We have to stand up first before we can actually lean in. I realize that it's great once you get at the table and you want to make your point and you want to be responded to and engaged with. But you can't get to the table unless you stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to say, this is what I want to do, and you have to do it. So today, Women Lead is a little bit of us as a curation team coming together and standing up for ourselves and saying, hey, we have a voice, we want to be heard, and we're going to be heard. And I'm sorry. And so I welcome you here to take part in this unique event. I am thrilled to be at Staten Island Arts as a woman, entrepreneur, utilizing open spaces like this, public spaces, which are accessible and available to all of us, is really, really important. And it's something that we have to keep in mind all the time, because I very frankly don't always enjoy networking in a bar. Okay? And I don't play golf. And a lot of the traditional ways that we've been networking just don't always work for today's smart woman. So again, I am thrilled to be here. I just want to say I am awed from all of our speakers today. I have been watching all of you and what you've been doing. Aileen Gemma Smith is here, and she is a Women Entrepreneur New York City mentor. We have Jen Slaw, who is a motivational speaker, juggler. We'll go over. We have Adrian from Living Restoration. So, try, especially in New York City, to get the concept of building living roofs on top of these buildings today. So I really want to thank you all for coming, and I'm going to turn over the microphone to Ms. Monica Valenzuela from Staten Island Arts.
Hello. I prepared some words. I don't always get an opportunity to do that, but I'm going to prepare them and share them with you today. My name is Monica Valenzuela. I'm the Deputy Director here at Staten Island Arts. And Staten Island Arts, formerly known as COSI to some people, Council on the Arts and Humanities for Staten Island, was kind of a mouthful. So we embraced our URL, which was statenislandarts.org, and here we are today as Staten Island Arts. We were founded in 1992, and we are the local arts agency for Richmond County. And our mission is to cultivate a sustainable and diverse cultural community for the people of Staten Island. And I often like to say, in kind of deciphering that we're kind of like the chamber of commerce for artists, arts organizations, and anyone doing cultural activities on the island. So we work across sectors to bring arts activities and culture to the table. You're sitting in the Cultural Lounge, and it is our gallery, project, and office space behind these walls. And we've been here as of July of 2014. We like to think of it as our own little Swiss Army knife that we can pull different things out to host events like we have tonight. A film screening, this drops down, where we host film screenings. We host networking events. We've had exhibitions, as you can see on the wall. We've had pop-up markets. We have one coming up in April. So we like to keep the space modular to accommodate a lot of things that are happening in this changing North Shore environment. We also host 10-week rotating exhibits. So you're sitting in right now the Great White. It's an exhibit by the Staten Island-based artist Victoria Monroe, and it is based on ideas relating to the physical gallery space that you're sitting in, its proximity to the harbor, and a broader community need for gallery space. So she's created this portable gallery, which we've moved. It's on wheels. Normally it sits in the center of the space, but after its lifetime here, it's collapsible, and Victoria hopes, she's testing out 4 different artists from around New York City doing their work inside this space over the 10 weeks. And then afterwards, we'll have a panel discussion with those artists and then see what the future brings for it, to loan it out to other events, community events, outdoor spaces, indoor spaces, addressing needs in the community. This space is sometimes the first experience folks have on Staten Island, since we're so close to the ferry. And we seek to support voices and projects and events that give context to Staten Island beyond kind of a surface media understanding of what's happening. And so I want to thank everybody for coming. I was really inspired by Marilyn's press release for the event. I don't know how many times you're inspired by a press release, but she cited that, the arts, quote unquote, in the arts, 51% of visual artists today are women, and only 28% of museum solo exhibitions spotlight women in 8 selected museums throughout the 2000s. Moreover, though women earn half of the MFAs granted in the US, only a quarter of solo exhibitions in New York galleries feature women. And she asked a great question, which is, why are significantly fewer women in leadership roles than men? I'm pleased to share that from my experience that the cultural sector on Staten Island and New York City is guided by some exciting, fierce women. And to name a few that have inspired me, Marcia Tucker, Kate Levin, Anita Durst, Anna Wintour, Kemi Lasami, Thelma Golden, Melanie Cohn, Ellen Pollan, Nancy Spector, Roberta Smith, Laura Jean Waters, Karen Atlas, Esther Robinson, the list goes on and on. All these women have inspired me personally and continue to provide examples of leadership and innovation for the cultural sector at large in New York City. And I can't forget a huge thank you to Marilyn, who is also a longtime supporter of the cultural sector on Staten Island and New York City, and a very positive role model for female entrepreneurs and community leaders in general. So thank you all for coming, and we're excited to host this event. I'm ready for it to be engaged, and I hope to see you at a future event here soon. So thank you.
As I invite our panelists to come up and take a seat, I'd like to invite Mo Krochmal, the brainchild of the Women Lead Hackathon, to say a few words. Thank you.
Welcome, guys. This is more about you guys than it is about me, so I want to welcome you. I do want to recognize Marilyn has done an amazing amount of work that you never see to think about every detail and bring you guys together. And this is really about forming a community. So I want to make sure that you guys connect with somebody, say hello, exchange business cards, you know, and it's not less about who's going to be up here, but more about you guys. So make sure you get together, you make relationships that'll go for a long time. We did this in 2012, and we had a room full of women who formed bonds and relationships and did business together. And Marilyn's really decided, let's do this again. And so all props go to her. She won't say how much work she's done, but we on the back end know it's a lot. So right now, make sure you tweet. There's the hashtag. Go ahead and take a second if you're on Snapchat or Action, or Periscope, or you know the deal.
Are we live streaming?
Oh, we're live streaming on livestream.com, which is a New York-based company, and we're also periscoping, and that's all happening right here. So in my spare time, I teach people about how social media and mobile, and so I try to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. Now it's up to you guys. Thank you.
I'd also like to acknowledge Nancy Ayala, who has been my backbone the past few weeks in encouraging the event and giving a lot of input and helping me out organizing the event. So thank you very much, Nancy. Again, I'd like to welcome the speakers up to have a seat, please. Okay. I'd like to do a lot more talking, but I think you really want to hear the speakers, and then we can get into the panel. So the first speaker that's going to come up and speak, I'm sorry, forgive me, I've lost my page. And of course, you know, nothing ever works the way you want it. I'd like to introduce Adrienne Wilton from Living Restoration to discuss what actually motivates her to work in the world of agriculture in New York City. Now, come on, how weird is that, right? I mean, it's not like we have a lot of space to farm, and here we have this wonderful urban farmer who will discuss why she pursued agriculture in this modern urban world, and how her experiences empower others. So I'd like to welcome Adrienne up. If you want to stand or sit, everybody can hear her. Okay.
It'll let us be on.
It's up?
Yeah.
All right. Yes, he's smelling away. Good, we're safe.
Homeland Security's okay.
All right, well, thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you to Staten Island Arts for having us. Thank you for the planning committee around Women Lead conference tonight. Again, my name is Adrienne Wilton. I'm really happy I'm sitting down right now because I'm not feeling too well tonight, so bear with me as I get through this. So again, my name is Adrienne Wilton, and I was a young girl who grew up in the rapidly developing South Shore of Staten Island. After a series of mountain and molehills, I birthed my first creation, Living Restoration, in 2011. Today I'll take advantage of the opportunity to expose you to, or remind you of, some very important items facing our globe. But we're also here to talk about being female-bodied. So I'll get into my experiences through that lens as well at the end. Living Restoration is a public independent contractor with history and expertise in on-site farming and gardening services in projects ranging from large-scale monolithic rooftop installations to custom micro projects focused on efficient utilization of space. We commit to a business model that promotes healthy lifestyles, generates green-collar jobs, and stimulates local economies. Due to the incremental expansion of urban areas, access to traditional land uses have become increasingly hard to discover in the day-to-day lives of city dwellers. Finding access to agricultural land must be actively sought out, as these reclaimed spaces are few and far between. Though the urban farming movement is expanding, the industry is still in its infancy. However, through environmental awareness efforts, this movement is gaining traction. As a result, the nation is becoming more and more conscious of the negative implications our current food system is having on the environment. Our dependency on intricate freight lines to supply our food is draining heavily on our natural environment. In addition, people once exposed are discovering the quality of local food is superior and far more transparent in comparison to commercial methods. To combat the implications of commercial farming methods, we must decrease the distance our food travels and promote all forms of organic farming methods with our local physical environment. The urban agriculture industry is sprouting creative solutions such as vertical farming and hydroponics, due to the fact that our local physical environment is not that of a traditional farm setting, often with ground level contaminations and/or spatial limitations. These steps towards a local food economy are necessary in making our nation sustainable and result in the improvement of community, environmental, and economic health. Living Restoration is at the forefront of developing these methods through our work in the design and implementation of alternative growing systems. We believe that the key to creating long-lasting change and public awareness of the benefits of locally grown organic food must start at an early age. To instill this knowledge to our children is truly the only way that the benefits of healthy eating and responsible food production techniques will continue to thrive in our future and make a long-lasting impact in our communities. Exposure to local production of food and the responsibility and reward that one gets from watching something grow can inspire future generations of urban agriculturalists, food and health advocates, and community builders. Though seemingly intimidating in its forms, agriculture is an instinctual craft that can be easily tailored to people of varying comprehension levels, as well as physical abilities. Educating our youth through connectivity with our natural systems is an unpretentious way and logical way for them to create an appreciation for the natural environment in its entirety, while it's providing a tangible product to be utilized. Without this exposure, we should not expect for people to have a genuine understanding of the ramifications our lifestyles and economies have on our bodies and planet. Now imagine trying to conquer all that while being a female-bodied, baby-faced person wrapped in masculine clothing. I recently hired a young man who made a claim that people did not take me seriously because I appear androgynous. The next day I was asked to present at this conference. And a few days following, I offered that young man a severance agreement. Originally, I was going to speak about how I'm so grateful to all the women who have believed in me and supported me through my endeavors. I was going to speak to you about the typical hurdles that come with being a female-bodied person, but I can thank those people over drinks, and I can work through those hurdles in my own time. This conference is the result of one movement, geared to create equality for all, but unfortunately, as I look out, I don't see equality just yet. We are living in a world of varying privilege. Able-bodied, skin color, linguistic, musicality, so on and so forth. I did not have much of a barrier for entry. I am white, middle class, mostly healthy, 28-year-old, who was socialized as a Catholic female. I was born from an NYPD detective who passed in the 90s due to the made in USA bioweapon known as Lyme disease, and a badass who wouldn't let that stop her from giving me the ladder I needed to be here today. I do not put my elbows on the table, I iron my clothes, and I was taught how to shake hands. You can even say that my androgyny has bestowed upon me masculine privilege. Who's to say? I was born in Staten Island, New York, the nation's largest small town, bordering the planet's most notable metropolis, New York City. Why? Why wasn't I born in a country whose soil is contaminated due to my privilege? And what do I do in my position of privilege? First step, acknowledge it without being defensive. Step 2, actively make decisions that help bring forth true equality. And this is not to be confused with checking off Native Americans to get lower college tuition. Empower those who have been living on the outskirts of our societies. Provide access. Think about all the people who must have helped a person like me, and do your best to extend your privilege out. Don't miss out on this. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, we face so many obstacles that we don't even realize it when we come together. And to be courageous enough to take on the responsibility of what you're doing in a world that is just so different from what we experience. I appreciate that, and thank you for your thank you for coming, and if you're not feeling well, I hope you could stay, but stay as long as you can. Okay, I had notes. I didn't know where I put them because I'm kind of running around. We're going to introduce our next speaker in 1 minute. My notes are here. I'm really excited about our next speaker. I got to meet Jen Slaw at a WomenLeadNYC meeting that we had at Borough Hall. I really hated that meeting too. I was very unhappy about it. I think that we didn't have enough opportunity to really meet. I didn't think that we had enough opportunity to learn about new people that we were working with or that we were sitting with. And I really wanted to do this today so that I get to see all of your faces and get to start to know you and know what you are about. So one of the few people that actually came up to me that I didn't know was Jen Slaw, and I was really impressed about that she even came up to me, because we were in Staten Island and that doesn't always happen. And I got to learn a little bit about what she does, and I was extremely, extremely intrigued. But Jen Slaw, she's a juggler. Juggler. How cool is that? Everybody's cool today. Isn't that amazing? Literally. A recovering structural engineer. STEM before your own time, huh? And a world record holding expert juggler. She shares her unique approach to problem solving and life juggling. She's been on ABC News, Fox TV, Huffington Post Live, Good Day Sacramento, Good Day Philadelphia, The Late Show with David Letterman, Off-Broadway, and TEDx stages. And I can tell you that she's done about 5 or 6 of these women conferences in the last week, practically to motivate people. So let's welcome Jen Slaw. Shift this out just a little bit here.
All right. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you, Marilyn, so much for all your effort in organizing this. It's fantastic, and for inviting me to be a part of it. Loved hearing about your work, Adrian. And what I want to talk to you about tonight is really about connecting to your core to follow your own unique path. Obviously, Adrian is doing that, and many of you in this room, I'm sure, are already doing that. But I wanted to throw out a question. Do any of you feel like you're falling asleep in any area of your life? Like you're just going through the motions? And it could be frenetic, fast-paced motions, but you're just kind of going through the motions. You're not really in touch with, what motivates you. And I want to take you on a little journey back in time to 2004 to my engineering cubicle in the city on 23rd Street. as we're perusing through manuals and the steel construction manual and figuring out the loads and the stress and calculating the flange thickness and beam depth required to support the maximum bending stress on a certain beam. And I see you guys, the eyes are glazing over already. Some of you are starting to nod off. And you know, this is what was happening to me. I had spent a lot of time, energy, and money earning my engineering degree. And now that I was doing it for a few years, I was starting to feel unfulfilled, unenthused. I missed, feeling like I was really getting a chance to exercise my creativity and be connected to other people, picture cubicle walls, and also just a chance to see projects realized. As you can imagine, engineering design projects often take years to see the results of your work. Meanwhile, I was juggling, I was performing, and I could see the reaction, I could see the results of my work immediately in the reaction of an audience member, and that was extremely rewarding for me. I had learned how to juggle in the 6th grade. I took a risk. I joined the middle school juggling club when I was the only girl in the club. At the time, it didn't seem like a courageous thing. I loved juggling. My teacher taught our class how to juggle as a lesson in focus and concentration. And so I joined the juggling club. This teacher told us on a regular basis that girls are better than boys. So it wasn't a big deal. I did it. That love stuck with me all through high school and college, and I juggled on the side. Made a little money to pay my way through college. And so when it got to the point where I was, unenthused with my engineering job and I was falling asleep at my cubicle and daydreaming about performing, I realized I had to make a change. So, people always ask me, how did you do it? How did you work up the courage or stupidity to leave a stable engineering job and become a professional juggler? What was your aha moment? And I can't say that there was one aha moment, but it was a gradual process of feeling like I wasn't where I was meant to be and that I needed to make a change. And so it got to the point where I just did it. I'll figure out the details as I go. I took did a few things to prepare, like going to my doctor's appointments before I wouldn't have health insurance anymore, and moving to a cheaper apartment in Brooklyn with a Craigslist roommate, and things like that, lining up some regular jobs at F.O. Schwartz and teaching with the Big Apple Circus. And I was really lucky because it was a good time with my engineering firm where they needed help, and they let me stay on part-time for about a year. So I had a little bit of a transition period. And after that year, I got laid off. They laid off all the part-time people, and I went to my now husband's cubicle. He's a civil engineer. And I said, I got laid off. I was excited. And he said, this is not the reaction most people normally have, but it was the final push I needed. It was easy to hang on to that security blanket, that stability, and it was the push I needed to really pursue what I was passionate about and really give it a try. And so, I've had so many great experiences as a professional juggler, from performing just across the river, starting out at the South Street Seaport, to being on Letterman, performing at Lincoln Center, doing commercials in the off-Broadway run. And along the way, I got involved with a charity called Juggling Life, and I now direct the charity, and our mission is to engage, inspire, and emotionally heal ill and underprivileged youth through juggling and interactive circus arts programs. And thank you. Really exciting, the work that we're doing. I started out just as a volunteer, going to an event, and was really touched by the transformation that I saw in these kids. And so I was invited to speak about the charity's work at a TEDx conference in Princeton, and just how we were using this little act of juggling as a tool to help these young people redefine what's possible in their lives. And so that started to get me thinking about, there's a bigger picture here, and maybe juggling could be a tool. The principles of juggling are so applicable to our daily lives, our personal lives, and our business lives. And so I started to put some programs together and, lean more towards speaking and training and using juggling just as a tool to help to get those messages across. And that brings me to where I am with you here today. So, I had to try it. I had to pursue this love of juggling because being on stage and performing and creating was where I felt most myself, most in the moment, most comfortable. And the cool or magical part was that juggling itself actually ingrained in me the mindset to make this happen. Because as a juggler, you believe that it takes practice, process, patience, perseverance, all of these things that we need as we go through life and make these changes in our lives to really follow our passion. So I'm not advising you all to leave your jobs and become a professional juggler, but I know there's some aspect of your personal or work life where you can feel more connected and engaged. So I want to challenge you just to think about that today, and because ultimately that leads us to being more balanced and to living a more balanced and fulfilling life. And I know you're all here because you believe in creating positive change in your own lives and the lives of those around you. And I heard a quote recently that change is only disruptive when it comes from the outside in. That was great, and often it is coming at us and we have to deal with it and react to it, and it can throw us off balance, and I'll give you some tips for balance. There's some tips on your postcards there. But we want to really look at creating change from within. You know, how do we juggle more? How do we establish that balance? How do we build connections? How do we integrate new ideas and think creatively? And how do we become more effective leaders? So I believe we really make change that sticks by building and nurturing connections. And by connections, I mean, of course, the connections between all of us. You know, we're building networks of value, and that's part of the reason why you're here. But also looking at how do you connect the pieces of your life. And I look at it, of course, as juggling. You know, you hear a lot of talk about work-life balance, but there's not a work you over here and a life you over here, right? There's one you, and everything is integrated, and it's one big mess of a juggling act. But if we can figure out, you know, what the pieces are that we're juggling, and if we can strengthen the connections between them, then this can really help us to feel more balanced and to better manage that level of stress in our lives. So we have to really, you know, look at connecting our strengths, our passions, and our core values to find that balance. So what I'd like to do is give you my 4 strategies. They're outlined on your postcards there. But my 4 strategies that I found really helpful, they come from the principles of juggling, and it's really simple. I'm a juggler, so I start out with the basic building block of juggling, the ball. B-A-L-L, I love acronyms, makes it easy to remember. So these strategies I find helpful just in terms of, you know, again, honing in on what's important to you, and then also establishing that balance and being more productive along the way. So we'll just get right into it. Break it down. Break it down, right? Set goals, but break them down into smaller, achievable steps. We've all heard this before, but it's really helpful to internalize this, and even just in terms of figuring out your why, your passion, you know, it can feel a little overwhelming to think about what is my entire purpose in this entire life, you know, but what excites you and scares you on a daily basis, you know, and if you can tap into that, you know, tap into what you like to do as a child. I never thought that something I learned in 6th grade would become my career, so you never know how that comes to play. And in juggling, you know, we start with one ball, we build the skill slowly to do 2 and 3, and we have to learn to focus on one thing at a time. So important, right? Multitasking, overrated, right? So I want to show you juggling 3. Even though I'm juggling 3 balls here, there's really only one ball in the air at a time, right? And for that split second, my job is to focus on that particular ball. And you can see that all of the balls are connected by timing. So if I throw one ball particularly high into the air, I've got to wait longer before releasing the next ball, right? Otherwise, I have too many balls in the air at once, and it becomes more difficult to sustain the pattern. So if you can look at the things you're juggling, we'll keep it really simple, work, family, and health, right? There are 3 of the big ones that we're all juggling. How can you think creatively to build communication, build relationships between those pieces to strengthen them? So things as simple as, you know, work and health. You know, can you enroll in, you know, an employee wellness program? Work and family, can you storytelling, can you share with your child or spouse something that's going on in work? You know, simple things like this that can tie things together in your life can really help to make you feel more balanced overall. And of course, this is a highly individualized process. We're all juggling different things. We all have different priorities. So the pattern is going to be different for everyone. And as you can imagine, there are virtually an endless number of possibilities. Some are more linear, right, some of us. Some are a little silly. But there's virtually an endless number of possibilities and ways to combine the things that you're juggling into different patterns. Thank you. Picture, we'll do a little flexibility here. Juggling, of course, requires focus and flexibility. And sometimes the more you're juggling, you can actually feel more balanced if you arrange them in the correct way, right? So if you're juggling 2 over here, I'm actually pretty off balance, right? I've got 2 over here. If I add in another 2 now, I'm nice and even. So it depends on all different arrangements, how you arrange those pieces of your life. And we'll show off a little bit here, a little higher. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Oh, I'm missing. Okay.
And in heels.
And juggling in heels.
Dress and heels.
So, all right, so we've got break it down, right? Let's move on down the list. A, ask for help. So that's part of the reason why you're all here, to build a support network, to connect with other people in your field. I'd actually like to do a quick little demonstration with somebody. If anybody's willing to come up here and do a little demo with me about working together, I'm gonna have to pick someone. Any volunteers? Any volunteers? Okay, right here, come on up. Let's give her a nice round of applause.
I don't have to juggle any balls, right?
Yes. Oh, yes, you do. What's your name?
I'm Joy.
Joy, nice to meet you. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
All right, step right over here. Just watch this wire. Oh, you've got some nice heels on. Come a little closer. And you're going to extend your right hand. Beautiful. All right. Ready? So I'm going to throw this one over to you. You're going to catch it and throw it right back to me. Excellent. It's a lot harder
I
with
can
all,
catch
these,
it, but I
with
can't
all
throw
these
it.
people watching. You're doing great. Focus on that ball. We're throwing one. Focus up on the top of the arc. Beautiful. Woo. There we go. Excellent, Joy. Now we're utilizing Joy's strength, right? She's right-handed. So when you collaborate, you want to try to utilize your partners and team strengths. I'm going to throw one back to you, Joy. There we go. 1, 2. Excellent. Look at that. She's doing great. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now it gets a little bit harder for Joy. I throw first this time. When you see the ball here, you're going to throw yours to me. Got it?
Okay, wait. Do that one.
I'm going to throw this juggling ball. When it gets right here to the top, you're going to throw yours to me and try to catch this one. Got it?
Okay.
All right, we get a few tries on the hard
This is
one.
going to hit the floor. I want y'all to know that.
It's okay, it's okay. Here we go.
Careful, Bubba.
1, 2. That's it. 1, 2.
Wow.
1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Wait a little bit longer before you release. 1, 2. That's it. 1, 2. 1, 2. Give it up for Joy. All right, we're on fast forward here since we only have a little bit of time. So we're going to fast forward. We're going to try 3. It may not work, but that's okay. We're going to try. Now the pattern just continues. The cycle repeats. Right, left, right, left. You ready? Every time you see a juggling ball here, you throw yours back to me. All right?
Okay.
Don't think too much about it. We're just going to embrace it. We're just going to feel it. Here we go. 1, 2, throw. Yes. That was it. We got this. We're going to try it again. 1, 2. Beautiful. Wow. One more try. We got this. 1, 2. 1, 2. Yes, that was it. Give us a excellent job. If we had more time, we'd really work that. But you get the idea. When you work together, you can accomplish more, faster, and you can have more fun. So it's so important to build that community personally and professionally. And I find it so helpful to have a coach or a mentor, reach out, offer value. What can you do to help this person rather than just take, and really try to build those relationships. As we're navigating and trying to find our own path, a coach or a mentor can be so helpful. I've had a great experience with a coach, just helpful in helping you figure out, are you on the right path and you're just not quite there yet, or maybe you veered off and need to course correct. So that can be really super helpful. So let's keep moving on down the list. We've got L, learn from the drops. This one's pretty self-explanatory and pretty important. We all make mistakes. We want to learn from our mistakes and move on. They're stepping stones to success, and oftentimes they can lead us to creative solutions that we may have never considered otherwise. And there are so many famous examples of famous failures. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah Winfrey was told she was unfit for TV. The Beatles were rejected from a record label and told they would never make it in show business. So it's so important to try it, drop it, pick it up, and try it again. Jugglers just know that dropping is part of the learning process. We expect to do it, and we know that we're making progress the more we're dropping and the more we can figure out and look and see, where did that land? Oh, it landed too far over there. I've got to adjust my throw. So try it, adjust, try it again. And finally, let it go. Right? Just let it go. So a couple different meanings. You can't learn to juggle unless you let go and throw the ball. Sometimes we have to let go of perfection, right? Done is better than perfect. Because perfect doesn't exist, and most of the time if we're striving to be perfect, we're just procrastinating because there's some fear and of some story we're telling ourselves. So let go of those stories and tap into what's really important to you and just throw the ball. So I want to finish off with a little bit of juggling for you. We're going to throw on some music, and this is a piece that I think helps to illustrate the creative process and how to think outside the box. You'll see a literal box here, to be open to new possibilities, and then I'd love to connect with you afterwards. Thanks. All right, here we go. Wind it up. Really strengthen those connections, because the connections give us space for creativity, which ultimately helps us to really make a positive change in our lives. So thank you so much, and I'll see you afterwards.
I love connecting fascinating women. Yeah. And I have to say that everybody, I know a lot of you here, and I see a lot of new faces too, but you all look very fascinating to me. And I'm so excited that you're here to be a part of this. Thank you for coming. Thank you, ladies. I'm in awe. I'm just in awe of all of this. Our next presenter is Vanessa Copes. Copes. Okay. Now, I met Vanessa when I was starting out in social media at a point where I decided that I wanted to follow my passion and do something that I truly love. I had been working as a pharmaceutical marketing and salesperson for 20 years, and I spent some time as an educator, as a teacher, a biology teacher, as a matter of fact. And one day I ran into Vanessa at Bamboo Salon, getting my hair done. And she had made some beautiful jewelry pieces that I bought for my daughter, who's back there. that's who I bought the pieces for. She loved it. I think a skeleton piece especially. Anyway, we had talked about me starting social media, and Vanessa had an interest in social media at the time. And I have to say, wow, what you've done with it since, okay? Vanessa is a social entrepreneur, and she founded her first business, Envy Jewelry, in 2009, which was when I met her. Okay, and I thought it was fantastic.
We actually met, I'm sorry, because we met through a tweet first,
Did
and
we?
then in real life.
See what happened?
Social media.
I love it. Social media, yes. We probably did meet through the tweet, but I really loved your jewelry and your artwork that you were doing. And I think right after that, you just really took off with what you were doing. And around that time, there was a magazine that was just established called Bella Magazine, and you became the social media director for Bella. And now Bella is expanding. They're Bella New York City and Bella LA, and they are one of the top printed magazines in New York City. But I've seen some other wonderful awards. Vanessa relied on her 13-year teaching career, another teacher, BA in education, as well as her personal trial and error experience to co-create the entrepreneurial think tank for moms in 2012. And ladies, I gotta tell you, this is an extraordinary organization, and I am seeing tons and tons of events going on all over North Jersey. I thought I heard them say they were going to bring it to Staten Island, or no?
We're in
not
talks.
sure.
Yes.
We're in talks. We don't know if that will be, but there are plenty of opportunities in New Jersey to join their group. And it is a networking community that focuses on educating and supporting women towards living full lives while building businesses that they love. So without further ado, I would like to turn the microphone over to Vanessa.
Pink elephant in the room, I was very late. I got very lost. Yes. Thank you.
She wasn't very late. She's here.
But I'm here. Thank you, Marilyn. That was really beautiful. To clarify, just so you know, entrepreneurial think tank, it's no longer entrepreneurial think tank for moms, it's now entrepreneurial think tank for women. Because through the years we were approached by, well, what if I don't have children and I want to be a part of your organization? So we opened it, we felt that opening it up to women, I mean, mothers are women, right? Made more sense, and from there, yes, Staten Island is in conversation, New York is in conversation, we're launching in Ohio next month, Michigan soon, so it's really growing steadily and rapidly, and my business partner who's here with me today, Lynette Barbieri, who's there in the back, and several of our group members are here today, which is really exciting. It's always, that's the kind of organization that it is. We are here to encourage and support one another. It's interesting that when I do these talks, especially taking into account Marilyn's theme for today is we need to stand up before we can lean in. When I have these talks, it usually happens on a Thursday where I get to use the Throwback Thursday hashtag because my story really begins at the age of 5 years old. And I'm gonna get a bit dramatic, but as dramatic as I'm gonna get, I'm gonna overcome it quite as quickly because that's how my life has been. At the age of 5, I was sexually abused. I was sexually abused by a neighbor that my mother told me to be very leery of. And as 5-year-olds would have it, my son, who happens to turn 4 today, you know, curious as I was, I wandered into the neighbor's yard and the unthinkable happened. When you're abused, your life takes on a new form of what ifs. Those dreams and those passions that I had as a little young girl were really not as bright and as colorful as they were as I began to grow up and become a woman. It was really, really difficult to stand up back then until I realized that I wouldn't be standing here today in front of you had it not been for the grace of God. That's the truth. In my journey, I discovered 5 steps, which is what my talk is supposed to be about today. 5 steps to fabulous, choices for living beautifully inside and out. And those are the steps that I took to really embrace the person that I was, make peace with that, and look forward to the person that I knew that I could become. The first step that I took was to build a community of chicas. And if you follow me on social media, a lot of the girls here call me a chica. The acronym, as you mentioned, stands for Caring Hermosa, which in Spanish, because I'm originally from the Dominican Republic, means beautiful, inspiring women living with a can-do attitude. And that morphed into what ETT Women has become today. My business partner and I, we call each other our work wives. It is incredibly necessary to get ahead. To stand up, you can't do it by yourself. So we rely on each other. They were rooting right behind me, just as lost as I was to get here today, which is really interesting because we all got lost together, but we made it. But that really was the first step that I took, to build a community, to create a support system. The second step that I took was to really start taking care of my health and my body, both from the outside and from within. That involved a lot of personal development, a lot of reading. For those of you who pray, meditate, that has a lot to do with my daily practices. And to work out, to exercise. Because while I was dealing with the repercussions of abuse as I grew up, depression became one of my best friends. And through therapy and through living life and through understanding that exercise actually creates, right, endorphins that actually alleviate stress and help you deal with whatever the day may throw at you. It's when I realized that exercise was not just helpful, but it was quite necessary for me to really face each day as it came. The third step that I took was my faith. And whether you believe in God, a tree, my husband believes in a tree, which is really interesting, in the universe, a rock, whatever it may be, you have to live by the defined values and belief system that you have for yourself. I was raised in a very Catholic, very close-minded environment, as we say, Latin American, very religious. As I got older and more mature and understood the reality of what faith was, the universe, the force that may be, and its power, I embraced it in my own way, and I interpreted that in my own way, and I use it to support me to this day on a daily basis. It is God. I call it God. Again, you may call it whatever you feel speaks to you, but again, I can't deny that that's what has gotten me to where I am today. The fourth step that I took was self-care. And there are no children here, right? So I can let my potty mouth be. It's not allowing other people's shit become your shit. That's actually one of the chapters in my book. You can't allow other people's drama become your own. I carried the weight of what a sick man had done to me, and for a very long time, I felt that it was my fault, that it was my doing. When I came to understand that I could no longer allow that to control the person that I would become now, I let it go, and I take everything in strides on a daily basis. You know, it's interesting, Lynette and I, we have conversations on a daily basis, and you said before, let it go. It's one of our, we sing it to each other over the phone, let it go, because it really is. You cannot allow the external drama to become your own and internalize it, because it just affects everything that you do. The fifth step that I took in the process was generosity, experiencing the beauty of giving back. Marilyn said that I was a social entrepreneur, and really what that is that everything that I'm involved with has a giving back component. I'm always looking for ways, whether it's through something that I do personally, whether it's something that we do through ETT Women, even through Bella, any work that we do has to be connected to an organization that we're either going to become better from or leave better off because we were there and we connected with that community. The reality is that in order for you to stand up and lean in, you have to own your story. You have to own your past to look forward to the future. And what I know for myself today is that I'm here today in front of you as the voice of a survivor who is no longer a victim. And if I can give one person in this room the hope to continue to look forward to the life that they could have, despite of what happened to them, then I've done my piece, because that's my intention and the work that I continue to do today. It's a iffy subject. It's a topic that not a lot of people want to discuss, but with the help of the men upstairs, I've become that voice, and I have no shame in allowing people to see that you can overcome that, and you can really become whatever you wish to be. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope that it was of service to you.
Who's inspired? Show your hand. Thank you. That was awesome. Okay, we got a lot more to go. We've got Aileen Gemma Smith. And Aileen and I are meeting for the first time in real life today. Although we've spoken to each other a number of times, and Aileen has often reached out to me to advise me, mentor me, and connect me with other women and men and opportunities that are available here to all of us that we can take advantage of. I love Aileen's story, and actually it goes back to Hurricane Sandy and my colleague Mo Crockmo, because when Hurricane Sandy hit, there was no communication on Staten Island. And fortunately, I still had power and a connection to the internet, and I was able to relay a lot of important emergency information and build a crowd map. And who came into my life but Aileen Gemma Smith. And she is the CEO and founder of Visualytics Technology, which is a New York data company which bridges information access between government, citizens, businesses, and communities. How lucky was I that Aileen had popped up? Aileen has worked as a content manager, strategist, and consultant for Newsweek, the Financial Times, and Razorfish. She has created Staten Island Counts, which mine publicly available data to reveal insights about the New York City borough in which we are in today. Aileen is honored to be a member of the Women Entrepreneur New York City, and I don't know if you are all familiar with it, but the New York City Mayor's Office and Shirlene McCrae have put together this program for women entrepreneurs in New York City that should eventually enable us to find funding, to be able to network, to get educational opportunities, and of course business opportunities. So now Aileen has become a mentor in the inaugural class of Women Entrepreneurs. Congratulations. The only one on Staten Island, by the way, but I know you're going to be working citywide, right? Okay. And according to Aileen, being a Women Entrepreneur Connect mentor is an opportunity to give back to others. Visualytics Technology is successful today because of the many individuals who have helped and supported her. Now it is her obligation to other entrepreneurs to open doors and help them to succeed as well. She is a business owner, not just to sell a product, but also to support her community and help the next group of entrepreneurs grow and scale their business. Thank you, and I present Aileen Gemma Smith.
Thank you. Marilyn, thank you so much. It is a privilege to be here tonight with so many powerful and important and different stories. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my story in the hopes that some of that can inspire and enable you to do something different. So I originally, when I started thinking about this talk tonight, wanted to tell you about what it means to really build a business. Because the short answer is, it's really hard. I mean, stupendously hard, like level 10 up hard, and it only gets differently complex. It doesn't get easier. A lot of times, people tell you no. People tell you can't. People look at you and say, you don't look like me, this isn't right, you don't fit. Ageism is real. and these are things that you have to look at and say, well, what am I going to do against that? Because if you want to, for example, fundraise, you've got to get through a lot of gates, and some of them have nothing to do with your ability to succeed, but everything to do with what people have already decided. So you look at that and you say, well, what have I got? And something that every single person in this room has is the ability to believe in yourself, as well as how you choose to use your time and with whom you choose to use your time. Right? So this kind of segues into the WomenLeadNYC program. When I saw that they were doing the survey for all that and everything, I said, this is really important because people need to understand all of these different subtle barriers that happen because someone will say, you don't have the right look, you don't have the right sound, now what? But then you also have this whole next step of what happens when, if I don't have access to all this privilege, how do I get these resources in my life too? So, like, awesome, I'm going to talk about the survey. When they said, please apply to this program, like, okay, did that, and it was really powerful because when you meet the team at Small Business Services, that's one of the agencies that's doing it, their whole goal is to make sure that there's more of an equal playing field. And their whole purpose in this is doing like, what can we do to support others, whether we're putting information on the map or whether we're doing courses at different business centers throughout all 5 boroughs, whether we've got one-on-one outreach, weekly phone calls, Facebook page, and more. So why did I choose in the middle of like building this enterprise company and closing deals in different cities and all this other stuff to say, I want to make time to mentor and volunteer? Because then you meet people that are doing amazing things and say, well, I have to open a door for you because to Adrian's point, if I have the opportunity to privilege, because I work really hard and I've got an investor that's interested or whoever that's interested, and I can say, actually, you need to talk to her. And if I can use my privilege to open up that door, that's powerful. And that's what mentorship is all about. And mentorship is kind of part of being an entrepreneur. This comes back to the hard part. It doesn't stop, it doesn't get any easier. Well, what can we do to be successful? What you can do to be successful is you can build those networks. And you can build those networks of support. When someone says, well, what do I do now? You actually have someone that you can go back to. Because way back when I started my company, the number of folks that said, no, that's not going to work, was really high. The number of folks that started when we first released our product, Mind My Business, was like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're making an app for brick and mortar shopkeepers, like your #1 user is a bodega owner or a diner, and like, why does this matter? And today I can say over 2,500 businesses in New York City are using it. And I can tell you that I've got businesses in Chicago that are using it. And we're about to launch in Seattle and San Francisco. And we're going to be in 20 more cities. Because you know what? Main Street actually matters. These businesses matter. So part of being an entrepreneur is saying, well, what's this problem that I really want to solve? And how am I going to push through solving it? Because here we are, we're building and we're pushing, and I've got, potential investors like, I don't get it. Like, why does this matter? And it's like, well, actually, if you're on super tight margins and you have a heads up that here's how you're going to have business interruption, that savings of $200 is really, really important. And when it's super targeted to you, that's really, really important. So we found this problem, and we're continuing to solve it. And the interesting thing is this is why we had the opportunity to work with the New York City Mayor's office, because they reached out to us and said, well, you seem to have figured out something really good with working with local businesses. Could you do something like that for residents? And lo and behold, if anybody's heard of Neighborhoods NYC, or if not, please check it out. Our team was responsible for doing that together in a public-private partnership with the Mayor's Office of Tech and Innovation. And a lot of that comes back to having a strong network, creating that network, earning the trust and respect. Because they said, what we want you to do is build something for all residents. No matter what borough you're in, no matter what, you can find direct information about exactly what's happening in your community in real time, powered by open data. Okay, cool. This is exactly what we do. Fits into our knowledge graph and our IP. awesome. But part of that only happened because I'm willing to take a risk and say, I'm looking this far ahead. I'm not looking at every single person that said, no, you can't, you are gonna fail, you're not gonna last, this isn't gonna happen. I looked at that and said, yeah, watch me. Because you know what? 2 years from now, when that person who's all smug is like, yeah, your company's not there, mine is. But seriously, and I don't mean that in an offish way, because sometimes folks that haven't been successful is for myriad different reasons and you want to try hard. So let me caveat in that way. But there is this sense sometimes of folks kind of looking down like, oh, well, I don't think that business is meaningful. Well, don't do that, because that's not going to build success. But my point is that as we want to continue to support each other, you really have to look at what that dedication means. So the part of my talk, that's sort of the hard part of my talk, is the initial fundraising that we did for our company involved putting a shingle out on the front. And I sold my house. Now, that's a commitment. I would not necessarily recommend that as an investment strategy. But that's a commitment that I chose to make to say, I want to do this. And I'm going to blast through everything to be able to do this. That's a commitment that has implications. So as you think about your businesses and the kinds of businesses you want to build, my question is, what's the level of commitment you're looking to make? What's the kind of company you want to build? In our case, we want to be in multiple cities. We want to be globally powerful. That's my view. But you could also say, I want to do a business that's a different size, that's a part-time business. And that could be a wildly successful business too, right? So the other fun thing about sort of startup land and entrepreneurs is don't judge yourself on anybody else. Because I could say like, wow, you know, look at those folks over there, they have like $50 million in revenue and whatever. And they could be saying like, oh wow, look at those guys over there, you know, they've got this. So everybody's sort of in this competing race. That does not take you further. What takes you further is, I want to go here and I believe in myself. And how am I choosing to use the time that I have every single day to move things forward? And those are choices that you can make to say, actually no, I need to build these relationships. Because taking that hour to spend with someone is like memorable. And that can drive things forward in a really, really powerful way. I think a lot of tonight, and you know, kudos to Marilyn for all the behind the scenes work, as you say, we'll never see, is a willingness to let's come together and connect. And this isn't just listen to these amazing panelists talk, but you're like all here. We can all connect, and we can all be doing things together to enable one another's success, and also to take this further, so that way the next panel is twice as big, and the groups that are coming are, you know, powerful, because you can say like, wait, I need something here in my community. Okay, what can I do right now to make a difference in my community? Am I tweeting it out? Am I saying like, wait, we've got to do this again? Are we lining up to say, when is the next one? That's how it makes a difference. But it also comes back to, am I asking for help? Like, wait, I don't know what to do about this. Can you help me? Or can you let me know how else we can? And it comes to opening up, if I have a privilege, what can I do? In my spare time, we also work with high school interns and college interns, but it's like, what do you do to open doors? But it's also about looking at stories of hardship that turn to success. That you didn't let the hardship go, that defines me. You own Mary. And for that,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies. It was more awesome than I thought it was going to be. I had imagined this to be a really nice, inspiring talk, but I'm blown away. I hope you all are too. Now, we're going to go into our workshop, but I thought maybe you were a little thirsty and would like to have some Prosecco with us before we go into our groups. You've each been given a number, and I did that purposely so that you don't sit with your friends. We're going to break up into 3 groups. So we're going to put group 1 here, group 2 in the front, and group 3 in the back. So why don't we open up some Pop the Bubbly, have a drink, have a snack, and then return back here in about 5 minutes for our speed workshop. Thank you very much.
Wait, I want to